welcome to the January Splits Challenge. So today we're going to have more of a focus on our front splits, and at the end of the session I want you to video your front splits. Obviously you've got comparisons between the beginning and the end. Obviously you can take a picture of your middle splits after if you decide, but we are going to be focusing a bit more on the hamstrings today, so it's going to be better for your front splits, and in the next session we'll focus more on the middle splits and you can take your picture there. The overall series is going to have more of a front splits focus because it's what more people asked for, but obviously you are going to see some improvement in your middle splits as well, because we are still, it's all connected, it all helps and everything. So hopefully you've got everything that you need, because I put the list on the thing before you start the session. We are going to start up on our feet, and we're just going to do some caterpillar walks just to warm up, to get the heartbeat up and stretch out the hamstrings. So standing up tall, I'm going to fold down, hands to the ground, and walk my hands out and turn them into a plank, and walk back up. So we're just going to go for 8 of those to get the heart rate up, warm up the hamstrings. As we know, if you come to my classes before, or if you don't know, if you haven't been to the classes, we don't just focus on the flexibility, we also focus on the strength and the mobility. We need to have strong muscles to support the flexibility that we are creating. So, that's 4 more to go. 5. Make sure when you reach your plank, we don't dip the hips. So by that, I mean letting the hips go like this. I don't want to arch, I want to be nice flat back here. So squeezing through your glutes as well. 7, so 1 more. And 8. Finish that by walking all the way back up. Good. Okay, we're going to stay standing. I'm just going to open up the hips a little bit. So some nice hip circles here. Get all of those joints back in, and mobilised. I'm going to go 2 more coming out, and then we're going to bring that in. Good, that's 4. 2 more. Nice, moving on to the other side. Come on. Good. And we've got 2 more going out, and then coming in. So hopefully by the end of this challenge, as long as you stick to it, you will see, and last one. Good, you'll see some improvement in your splits. Okay, we're just going to come down onto our bum, and from here we're going to do some leg lifts. We're going to start off with straight leg lifts. So I'm going to put my hands roughly inside of my knees and lift. And we're going to go for 10 lifts on each leg, and then on the 10th one we're going to hold it for 10 seconds. So let's lift. 1, 2. So water as well is really good for your flexibility. Obviously our muscles are made up with a lot of water, so the more we can keep them hydrated, the flexier we're going to be. And it's your 10th, so hold. This is my worst hip I've done first. 8, 9, 10, and release. So moving on to the other side. And that's 2. So yeah, make sure you're drinking water, keeping hydrated, and as with anything, your diet is going to make a difference in terms of flexibility and everything being healthy. And then this is the last one. Hold. But the main thing is going to be the consistency. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Relax, shake it off. Consistency with flexibility is so important, so important. So hopefully this challenge will inspire you to start stretching regularly and consistently. And then we're going to go for both legs. So again, hands either side of your knees, and 1, 2, more. 9 and 10. Good. Shake it all out, and then we're going to do the same but in a straddle. So sitting in your straddle, it doesn't have to be your widest straddle. We're just trying to make sure we target like the different areas of the hips. Pick a leg to start off with. I'm going with my left, so you're going to face that leg, and again, lift. You'll probably find this one harder. I do. 5, 6, and I keep starting off with my weak hip first. 7, 8, 9, and then tempo, we're going to hold it and lift. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got some shape. 8, 9, 10, and relax. You need to just twist that out. So sitting in stag leg position, just twisting that out. That's my very niggly hip flexor. And to the other side. And we're really going to lift. So 1, 2. I haven't done these in a while and I can feel it. I was doing these quite regularly to help improve my niggly hip flexor. 7, 8, 9, and get ready to hold. 10 and hold. As well, making sure that we're not like really leaning back. You're going to get some movement, but we want to try and stay as upright as possible. And relax. Oh, let's swivel that one out. Good. Okay, we're just going to come into a lunge. So, placing one foot forward and back knee is down, resting on the mat here. And we're just going to hold that. I want you to think about your back hip, like not opening out. I want to think about pushing it down and under. So I'm closing off that hip. I'm not open, I'm under. So when you think about them pushing that down. So you think about using the glute of your back leg to really push that hip down. So if I'm being lazy with it, I'm doing nothing. And as soon as like it's raised, as soon as I think about using my glute to push down, I can feel myself actively get probably about an inch lower. So really think about pushing that back leg down and into the ground. I'm just going to hold that for a minute. Keep pushing and squeezing. Make sure your front knee, your knee and ankle are in line with one another. And if you're pushing on your front, don't do directly on your kneecap. You want to kind of just be above your kneecap, like on your thigh. And we're just going to hold that for a few more seconds. And then from here, we're going to push back into a hamstring stretch. If you can't touch the ground with a flat back, this is when your yoga blocks or books, whatever you've got, are going to be useful. So I'm going to press back here. And then I'm going to lean forward over that leg. I'm going to keep my toes flat to the ground for now, so my foot's completely flat. Hip is directly over knee, and then I can fold over that leg. When I think about folding, I'm not thinking forehead to shin. I'm thinking about being nice and long, so I'm trying to get my belly button to touch my thigh, and then fold forward over that leg with a flat back. And then if you can't get hands to the ground, that's fine. We've all got a starting point. You can use blocks. And we're going to hold that. You should feel a nice stretch running all down the back of your leg, so through your hamstring. It's going to vary on everyone. Some people feel it right down their calf to their ankle. Some people don't. It's just up the top half of their leg. And then from here, I want you to think about lifting just your toes. So when I'm pointing, my toes are lifted. So most people have a tendency to rock back here. I don't want that. I want keeping my foot flat, and I'm just going to lift my toes and back down. And I'm going to go for 8 of those. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 and 8. And then put your toes back down. And then we're just going to move in and out in your own time from lunge to hamstring fold here. So this is in your lunge to your half split or hamstring fold, back and forth in your own time. If you feel like you need to stay in one more than the other because you're getting more benefits, that's fine. We'll just take about 45 seconds, moving in and out, flowing. You can even take some slight twists in your lunge now, and when you come back, you can twist, moving your hips from side to side. In your hamstring fold. Oh, that's a good knee bit for me. So just find your spots on your body which really need the extra attention. We've all got them. And it just depends what we do in our daily life, whether we're sitting, whether we're active job, whether we're runners. It's going to be different at everyone. Even just how we walk and stand. Just take about another 10 more seconds. Good. Okay, so we're going to switch to the other side now to draw that leg back until we're in on hands and knees. And switch over to the other side. Just for now, coming up into that lunge, remembering to push that back hip down and under, really close it off. We don't want to open hip here. You should start to feel your muscles feeling a little bit warmer now. Mine is definitely feeling a bit stretchier already. Get us prepared for our front splits. And pushing down and under. So all of these classes are going to be around 20-25 minutes a time, because it's the easiest way to obviously start being consistent. If I start giving you hour-long classes, then you're going to struggle to perhaps fit that in. But the plan is that ideally, if you have time, then on the weekend, you could put all 3 classes together and take an extra long stretch. So that would be 3 20-minute-ish classes a week and an hour long. So that's only 2 hours a week. That's it. We can do it. And push back into that hamstring fold. Remembering to lean with belly buttons of thigh, toes on the ground, and we hold it here. So hopefully that will be feasible for people. If you are lifting weights, then do it at the end of your weight session so you get a decent stretch after. Very common for people to not stretch after, or running. If you're poling, you could do it as a pre-pole or post-pole, depending on what you're going for. Like if you're aiming for looking a bit splitter on the pole, then do it first. And then we're just going to do those toe lifts. So 1. So hopefully people won't find it too hard to fit it into their schedule. I mean, splits on the beach when you're on holiday looks fantastic, so that should be motivation. And 2 more. Good. And then from here, we're just going to move back and forth in and out of those 2. Just finding the spots that you need to work on, twisting around if you wish to. You don't have to. Good. It's perfectly normal as well if one side's stretchier or even more achy than the other. We tend to do everything one-sided. Good, and then sweeping that leg back under. Now, so take some water if you need to have some water, and then for the next, I'll show you our next movement. So for the next movement is a little bit of an extension on the half split that we just did, so that hamstring fold. But we're just going to level it up a little bit, make it a bit more active. So I'm going to be coming into a lunge. So knees underneath hip, opposite foot is going to be on a slider. This obviously is really difficult with carpet unless you get these specific sliders, which can work on a carpet or floor. if you have hard floor but don't have a slider, then you can use socks or a towel or something like that. So from here, if you want to use blocks for stability, then you can start off with blocks while you just get your balance and confidence. You're going to put one foot onto a slider. And from here, I'm going to slowly slide that foot forward until I get to a point where I can pull it back from. So I don't want to overextend and then I can't pull back from that position. So you'll know where your spot is, you'll feel it, or if you go too far on the first time, then you'll know that it's obviously too far. It's a little bit trial and error the first time, we're just getting used to this movement. But I want you to be really careful and cautious with it and really think about it being like my hip, thinking I'm pulling from here. But as I'm sliding forward, I'm now going to think about plugging that hip back in and bringing it back. And that's where the active pull is coming from. So we're going to start off by doing 8 of these on each side. So if you need your blocks, you can use your blocks. Or if you want to challenge yourself and go hands-free, if you've done these before, then by all means, go hands-free. So let's start. So just as deep as you can go, that you can then pull it back up without having to pull on your blocks or pull on the floor or struggle and push yourself up off the floor. These are a tricky exercise, so don't worry if they don't feel easy or you're not getting as low as you're hoping to go. It's fine. You're still working, so that back hip is working, supporting you. And then your front leg, the hamstrings working and the hips working as you move forward in and out. I think that's 7. And then last one. Pull it back. Your cores are also working as well, as you're stabling yourself, keeping yourself upright. As always, there's a lot going on. Let's go on the other side. Again, if you feel one side's worse than the other, like for me, it's definitely my worst side, then it's fine. Take whatever variation you need, whatever modification. Don't be too disheartened. It will all kind of start to even out a bit as well. The flexier I've got, the less difference I've got in between both sides. When I first started, I very clearly had a bad side and a good side. Now it's not as obvious. My bad side still feels worse than my good side, if I'm thinking actively, but in comparison with pictures, there's not a great deal in between. And then one more. And pull back. Nice. So we're just going to come up to standing. Stand with our feet wider than hips, hands on elbows, and then just rock from side to side. Loosen that up a little bit. Good. Hands to the middle of the floor, and from here I'm going to bend. And then push back and straighten. So again, you should feel all down the back of your legs and bend. So my hips again nicely opening and push back. My hamstrings are also being awakened. A little bit more. Bend again and push back. Good. Okay, so you're going to use your chair, sofa, whatever it is you've got. You can also use blocks. Not if you've got a weight, I wouldn't use blocks. That just feel unstable, as in you can stack a couple of blocks and use them to stand on, to forward fold over, but I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're using a weight as well. So if you are using a weight, obviously it doesn't have to be an actual weight, you have bottles of water or I don't know, something heavy, your bag, if you carry a heavy bag, anything. And we're going to stand on our surface, make sure that it's stable. Toes are pretty much on the edge. And with my weight, from here, I'm standing up completely. And I'm going to fold over and let that weight pull me further and further into that stretch. And then pull back up. My legs stay straight the whole time. When I pull back up, it's my hamstrings doing it, the bottom of my glutes. But on the way down, so my hamstrings are getting a nice stretch, and on the way back up, they're being activated and building strength. So we're going to go for 8 of these. So slowly, in your own time. Think about pausing at the bottom for a few seconds, just to really feel that stretch, and then come back up. That's 1. And 2. Three. And 4. 5. And 6. 2 more if you're in pace with me. If you're not, don't worry. 7. And 8. And if you want to pause for a little bit longer at the end of your last one, then feel free. It's good. Back up. Okay, I'll give a few more seconds in case anyone needs to catch up. Take a sip of water. And then we're going to try our splits. Okay, so splits. We're going to use blocks for support to begin with, and it also just helps keep you in line. So with the splits, it's really easy to open up your hips. A bit like I showed you in the lunge earlier, where you can kind of twist out. It's really easy to do that in the splits as well, especially if you don't use the blocks. So when I'm using the blocks, I try to keep my blocks in line with my hips. So I'm going to set up with my back knee under my hip, and then I'm going to start to lean forward from hip. My hips are going to be my blocks are going to be by my hips. And then like we did with them lunge sliders, I'm then going to start to slide that leg forward and keep pushing forward and down until we're at our max. And if you feel like you can take your hands off the blocks, you can take your hands off. If you're not as low as you are normally after a long session, if you're used to doing hour-long sessions, don't be disheartened, don't worry. Obviously, this is what's good for training as well, trying to get your body in preparation for splits in a shorter amount of time, like in the long run. Obviously, if I want to do a splits on the beach, keep going back to the beach, I don't want to spend an hour training for it. I want to be able to do it. So it's fine, it's all going to work up to it. But just don't be concerned if it's not as low as it perhaps would be after an hour-long stretch. So we're going to go for that split. I'm not going to keep you on camera for this. I want you to do this in your own time. I want you to go to your splits, down as low as you can, and try to hold it for 20 seconds. And then come up, do your other side, go again, and try to hold for 20 seconds. And I want you to try and go for 3 sets of 20, and you'll feel that by the 3rd one, it's much more comfortable and you're sitting much more deeper in that. And then take your picture then. So hopefully you enjoyed that first session. If you've got any questions, then ask. If you want to send me any pictures or videos of you doing the movement so that I can check that you're doing it right, then fire it away to me. Completely fine. Yeah, and I look forward to a splitty January. Thanks for watching, bye!